A most heartfelt thank you. Some years ago I spoke of faith when a friend just looked at me. He said, "A man of faith is something which I never took you to be." I asked him why. He said, "I don't know. I just never thought of it. But since the subject just came up, mind if we talk a bit?" I told him sure, that would be great, as I pulled up a chair. His face then went all serious, as tension filled the air. He said, "I've never been a man who thought too often about God, but lately He's been on my mind. For me, that's kinda odd. You see, some things have been bothering me. I've lost my faith in self. I thought maybe I'd ask the Lord, just to see if He could help." I asked him what the problem was, if he didn't mind telling me. He said, "All right, if I tell no one, that our secret it would be." He then told me the problems which were now plaguing his life. Spoke of how he drank too much, and how he'd lost his wife. As I once was, he'd spent his life getting by on just his will. He'd lost most of his earthly things, as he'd had to pay the bill. He said that he has prayed for help, but she had left anyway. He couldn't stand the empty nights, or the long and hollow days. He told me that he prayed on it, but nothing came and nothing went. I felt like a fool for all the time that on my knees I spent. I said, "I believe He hears us all, but something you should know. He answers every single prayer, but sometimes He says no." He looked at me. His eyes met mine, a blank look upon his face. I've never thought of it that way, as he glanced around the place. I told him that over the years I have come to believe. I go to no church, but I'm no heathen. I just don't wear it on my sleeve. I have no need to shout it out so another one might hear. My relationship with my Lord and God is very private and quite dear. He said, "I've never stepped a foot in church, but I've meant to someday. I always thought if you just prayed, He would send things your way." I told him it doesn't work like that, with some kindness in my tone. He's not concerned with material things. He's hopeful for your soul. He doesn't care about the car that's sitting in your drive. He's more concerned if His Spirit lives in what you've got inside. He's not worried about the things we think of here on earth. I think He lives in each of us from the moment of our birth. And if we need hard lessons learned, we get them along the way. He shapes us into what He wants. We are the molder's clay. I said, "Don't you think before you pray, long before you even start? The Lord knows what you really need and knows what's in your heart?" He said, "Well, tell me then, if He already knows the words I'm going to say, what is the point of prayer at all, if He knows it anyway? For if He knows what I really need, I've got other things to do." A moment's thought, then I replied, "Perhaps He gets lonely too." Look at the world. See all the greed? There's corruption everywhere. Perhaps he likes to just hear words of someone who still cares. Though I believe he does know all, here's another thought for you. He made us in his own image. Perhaps he's got feelings too. I'll bet he's heard a million prayers of a lottery we'd like to win, or the empty promise, and he spoke with me, I will not do it again. And then he smiled, we laughed out loud, as we both shook our head, because we knew the simple truth of the phrase we had just said. I don't know, friend, open your heart. It's the best thing you can do. 'Cause maybe he just wants to hear a most heartfelt thank you. And that was it. We parted ways. He thanked me for time spent, and I went back to my own life as on his way he went. I saw my friend a few more times as the years went swiftly by. He seemed to get life straightened out with a new light in his eyes. Then came the day I got the news. My friend had passed away. I couldn't help but think about the words we shared that day. At his funeral, a card bore my name, given by I don't know who. I opened it. My friend had penned a most heartfelt thank you.